Here we go. Hello, everyone. Okay, how good does it feel to be surrounded by like-minded community in a moment like this? I just want to take a moment to thank everyone for being here. I don't know about you, but I needed this. All right, so let's kick off. How many parents do we have in the room? Woo! You guys deserve a round of applause. We are doing the hardest job in the world, especially right now. All right, now parents or not, how many of you, by a show of hands, knew that America is the deadliest place to give birth in all of the high-income countries across the world? You guys are a smart group. Most people don't. And it's not just by a little. It's actually by 10 times. I know I'm jumping right in with the depressing stats, but they gave me 5 minutes, so we're diving right into the deep end. Come with me. Now, how many of you all knew that midwives could actually avert 80% of maternal deaths? Let that sink in. 80%. Now, midwifery care is actually the default birth care model in every other high-income country across the world. But here in America, most insurances do not cover it. Now, it's not a coincidence that most of us didn't know this. It's actually by design. Before I became a mother, I'd heard whispers of the maternal mortality crisis. And as a journalist, I'd read the data. 50% of mothers describe their births as traumatic. Black women are dying at 3 to 4 times the rates of white women during and after childbirth. But somehow, the conversation always stops at the problem, instead of rallying resources around solutions, known solutions like midwifery care. Much like the women's health issues broadly, maternal health has been falsely framed as a fringe issue, something that's left to somebody else to fix, despite the fact that everyone on the planet and everyone in this room came from a woman's womb. Right or wrong? It's a crisis that's painted in statistics that are too heavy for some, too sterile for others to actually feel until it becomes your issue. When I became pregnant, I thought, how hard could this be? I did what most Americans do. I looked for a good OB. And even as someone who had access to the best, I dated 8 different doctors. And yes, I call it dated because you need to know who's going to be there during your most vulnerable experience in your life. Except the problem is I was having terrible experience after terrible experience, including one who told me that I had exceeded her 2 to 3 question max before she escorted me out of her office. And that's the moment when I realized just how broken the system is. Now, what's broken about birth in America is that it's treated like a business, one that prioritizes profits over people. It thrives on our lack of knowledge, and it incentivizes unnecessary medical intervention. And it leaves families and women feeling powerless over the very thing our bodies were built to do. Meanwhile, midwives and community-based providers and birth workers who save lives are underfunded and ignored. Thankfully, in my 3rd trimester, y'all, I was finally introduced to the midwifery model of care, a model that centers humanity, dignity, education, and choice. And it changed everything. It actually changed my life. It gave me a safe, sacred, and transformative birth experience. And I gotta tell you, of all of my career accomplishments and all the titles that I have held, pushing out a 9-pound baby in my home, unmedicated, was the most badass thing I've ever done and the most empowered I have ever felt in my life. Thank you. Add that to my resume. But then came the grief. Why did I only find out about this care through chance, through a whisper network? Why isn't this the norm for low-risk pregnancies, especially when midwifery has been proven to be safe, more affordable in some cases, and a lot of times much more humane. And most of all, why, with all of our medical advances and our access to technology breakthroughs, are so many women still dying in childbirth in one of the richest countries in the world, when 80% of maternal deaths are preventable? Make it make sense, y'all. The math isn't mathing. So I put on my journalist hat and I dug deeper to find answers. And one thing became clear. This is not just a public health crisis. This is a storytelling crisis. We have normalized traumatic birth. We have stigmatized midwifery and care models that are saving us. We've let profit-driven systems dictate outcomes that should be rooted in dignity. And we've let the story stop at the fear instead of the fix. So I decided to start somewhere with what I had. On my birthday in December 2023, I launched an Instagram fundraiser, just hoping to cover the cost of one family in my neighborhood. And in 16 hours, we raised enough to fund 2 families' births. From that small seed, Birth Fund was born. With my background in storytelling and brand building, I knew we could scale this. Because one thing is for sure, there is nothing a pissed off mama cannot do, okay? Now, Birth Fund is not 1 year old, by the way. We just celebrated our first anniversary. And now Birth Fund is a nonprofit organization investing in midwifery care for families all across the country who couldn't otherwise afford it. We're working to mainstream midwifery through storytelling in order to help make this gold standard care accessible, covered, and celebrated. But I couldn't have built this alone. I called on my network, public figures, executives, journalists, moms like Serena Williams, you may have heard of her, Carly Kloss, Chrissy Teigen, and yes, dads like John Legend, who's here today, and Alexis Ohanian, who joined our very first funding circle to help solve this crisis one family at a time. Then came the brands, SoFi, Rhode, MAC, Pampers, Babylist, and so many more. And then we have institutional support from the Gates Foundation and Pivotal Ventures. Shout out to Allison Felix, who you'll hear from in a second, who leveraged her fund to invest in this work. And 1 year later, we've raised over $3 million to support families and midwives all across the country. Thank you. And we're just getting started. Together, we are rewriting the story, one birth at a time, one family at a time, because a mother's life should never be the cost of bringing new life into this world. Thank you so much.